You're listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast with Prep Baseball Wisconsin, breaking down the top high school prospects and featuring all things college baseball recruiting in a changing world. Hosted by Vinny Rotino, Josh Fields, and Andy Sroka, this is Badger State Ball.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Badger State Ball. We're back. The events are rolling. Energy is flowing here. We're fresh off our first in-state event of the season in Kenosha just over the weekend on Saturday, which was sandwiched in between the Illinois-Wisconsin Preseason Procase in Joliet, Illinois, just about a week ago. Yeah, exactly a week ago from today. And then on Sunday, we had the Super 60, which was pretty massive and filled with a ton of Wisconsin guys. It was probably the most, I think, ever in the history of the event to have that many Wisconsin players there representing the class of 2026, which just kind of highlights that running theme we've had, for as long as we've been doing this, of just how good the 26 class is in Wisconsin. So it was fun to kind of get that off and running, the season off and running. All of a sudden the spring is kind of just around the corner. So there's a ton here to talk about today, but yeah, and you guys got anything before we really sink our teeth into it?
Well, I would just say right off the bat, I mean, the amount of players that were at that Super 60, eight Wisconsin players, and then the names that were real pro prospects at the Procase in Illinois. I mean, it's just a testament to how really I'm kind of blown away at this 2026 class. I know we've talked about this a lot, but this has to be the best class in Wisconsin high school history. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that.
Yeah.
I know that there's been other guys that have gone on to do huge things at the big league level in other classes. I'm just talking about the depth of this class, and that's why I'm super excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, it feels like hyperbole, but then when you break it down, I don't know, it'd be hard to even fathom a different, at any point in time. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just that's how athletic and talented that this group is, and it isn't just us either. I think you had a ton of professional scouts that were kind of interested in oh, I'd never heard of this guy at the Procase, and pretty interesting. Gonna make sure I see him in the spring. Conversations like that, I think were kind of flying around all over the place, not just at the Procase, but eventually the Super 60, which, of course, those guys maybe come in with a little bit more name brand recognition, but still, it's just kind of insane. So I think we'll miss this class just because it feels one in, I don't know, a decade, a generation, whatever it is. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, it feels too. Do you have any just opening takes just after seeing a ton of good baseball over the past week or so?
Yeah, I mean, what a great start for, our winter. There's a lot of good baseball up in Chicagoland and up here in Wisconsin as well. But, I mean, it was probably one of the best Super 60s in recent memory, but maybe not a coincidence, one of the best Super 60s in memory, and we just have a loaded Wisconsin roster there too. So, I mean, Dominic Santarelli and everybody else that just really shined this past weekend. It was something really special. It was really eye-opening. Dare I say we're just a baseball state?
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Maybe we're a baseball state now. Well, I even got ahead of myself here. I skipped our introductions here. But you got me, Andy Sroka, Vinny Rotino's with us, Josh Fields, Nick DiBenedetto is with us as well. So we're all at everything from the past week. We're in Kenosha, Joliet, and in Chicago at the Super 60. So we're going to save our Kenosha ID takes for next week's episode, just as we kind of get into it. And we have a little bit of space here in between preseason ID events. So we just started in Kenosha, but we'll be in Wausau in 2 weeks to 3 weeks, actually. Yeah, 3 weeks. So there's a little bit of time, so we're going to break down Kenosha guys next week, so be sure to pay attention to that. But first things first, I guess we'll start in chronological order here with the Procase. So we had, how many guys? Let me just count this roughly. We had 7-ish? Yeah, I think 7 guys at the Procase in Joliet. It was kind of a smaller roster in total, just split between Illinois and Wisconsin mostly. There was a couple kids from Indiana, Ohio, but for the most part, it was those two states. There was a ton of scouts there, so it was an awesome opportunity for a couple of these guys who might have been kind of off the radar to really make an impact, land on it. I don't think Chance Ruby was off the radar by any means, because he's been one of the top, maybe the top performers, just pound for pound guys in our state that just gets it done in game constantly. But I thought this was a great showing for him overall. One of the top runners, athletes at the event, and the event was pretty special when it comes to athleticism. There were some crazy run times and so on there, but 1.56, 10-yard split, which would have been the second fastest at the Super 60. He hits the ball hard for being, still just kind of a lean frame kid. Bat speed. It just seems like the sky is the limit here for him. I know, Vinny, you were saying the same thing.
One of my favorite players ever to cover and to scout in the state of Wisconsin, Chance Ruby. Seriously, I mean, this kid, just tools off the charts. But then, like, you look at the body too. I mean, this kid's. It looks like he's going to grow 3 more inches. I mean, and put on a ton of weight as well, good weight. I mean, and still be able to stick up the middle just because of the athleticism. 6'5", 60, 6'5". Actually, kind of surprising that was actually the second fastest because Gavin Michaels of Illinois ran a 6'4", 90 miles an hour across the infield. So the arm is plenty strong. Probably, okay, so my scouting eyes, I'm saying keep this kid at short as long as possible, right? But, scouting eyes probably projects him when he gets to the big leagues, and I think there's a real chance. I mean, seriously, for this kind of athlete, this kind of kid with this kind of tool set and this kind of hit ability to get to the big leagues someday, maybe moves over to second base, but, certainly moves really well in the infield, loved his actions in the infield. We've seen him. Look, I'm biased towards this kid just because I've seen him play in game on the biggest stage that our gameplay is at Prep Baseball at the future games, and he was awesome there. Just the gameplay, the ability to have quality at bat after quality at bat. Like, there's a ton of boxes that this kid checks. One of my favorite players in the state, and just a tremendous kid to boot. Going to get the most out of his ability, and there is more. Believe it or not, the tools are going to continue to get a lot better just because, again, I think that body has got some room to add.
Yeah, especially sorry, Andy.
Yeah, no, you're good. Go ahead, Field.
Especially when you add in just the current skill set at the plate. Like, there's a lot of bats to ball here. There's maturing power. He was hitting a lot of home runs, a lot of extra bases, and really driving the ball to all fields. Heading into late summer, early in just throughout the fall, but just with that present skill set at the plate, just any improving tools, that's just going to add to the value that Chance Ruby really does. And like you said, I think you tell him to play short as long as he can, and it could be second base. And I've also seen him play the outfield pretty well too, as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think this is like the just a perfect example of like you got to see Chance Ruby play in game. Like, I implore any area guy, like listening, watching, whatever it comes down to. Like, I think the Chance Ruby experience in game is pretty awesome because it's super low swing and miss. Like, he's got a great approach. He like maximizes the contact profile here. So he hit a ball, I think 100.6 was the max exit velocity at the Procase, which in this day and age sounds like average, I guess, which is kind of crazy. But either way, in game, you see him. I mean, he probably hits more home runs than just about anybody on this list. Other than like a Dom Santorelli or some of these like Jace Matazinski. But when we're talking about him physically, he doesn't like match those guys like Vinny referenced, and yet he's still kind of maximizing on his like power production in game stuff. And yeah, like seeing it in person and seeing him do it all fall, and he deserves like a ton of credit here and attention, and I'm sure he'll get that this spring.
Yeah, I don't want to step on Nick. Nick, I want to get your take on Chance too. But the 101, I round up 101 max exit velocity. I mean, he was peppering balls about 6 feet off the ground to the opposite field at 101 miles per hour. So that is special to me, just because he does have that opposite field approach. But then I do think that he's going to be able to tap into some pull side power once he makes some adjustments, maybe takes a couple more chances on 2-0 counts, fastballs and stuff like that. So smart, high instincts, high intelligence, baseball intelligence type of a guy that is just going to be able to get more out of his ability.
Nick, we need a chance. We need a chance take.
All right. I think for the age and size, he's super toolsy, and obviously I feel like there's still room to grow, kind of like you said, Vinny. He'll put on more weight and definitely could grow a little bit taller too. But I mean, he's running a 6'5" right now. Like, it's going to get better. That's what's really impressive to me. And I thought the defense was really clean, really smooth. And then obviously, the 101 exit velo right now, and there's still going to be room to grow with that too. So who says he can't hit a 110, 105 at some point this year?
No, I wouldn't bet against Chance for sure. Yeah, and some of these other guys that we're getting into too, like having just watched all these Super 60 guys, obviously extremely talented all over the country. A lot of these kids, Chance included, would have fit, right in at the Super 60. So it's not like there's a degree of separation there either. And along the same breath, Ian Koshinski, Catholic Memorial shortstop, is kind of high on the list of like notable takeaways, I guess, from the Procase. Because again, thinking about the Super 60 that we just watched, the rounds of infield defense, I kind of think Ian's round of defense at the Procase would have been, I don't know, one of the top 5, top 3 maybe at the Super 60, and I definitely don't say that lightly because there were some good ones, but he looked like the real deal at shortstop, which I think is just going to make it, easy to take as many chances as possible on a player like this.
Yeah, Fields, why don't you lead us off here, and I'll follow up.
Absolutely. That just further just emphasized the fact that I think that this guy's a legit shortstop, and with like a ceiling, he's going to provide value at that spot for a long time. This is a kid that continues to get better. We've seen him, we identified him really early on in the prep career, but like every time we saw him, every 4, 5, 6 months, he would just get better. And he would always reach out to us asking about, hey, what else did we need to improve? So seeing it last week really just, he really elevated himself. The athleticism is, borderline elite plus run times. And, you can see it in the field as well. But the bat also has a chance to play. There's a lot of contact ability. It's also growing, ticking up as well. So, a guy that, probably didn't have a lot of guys, wasn't on a lot of radars, but definitely got circled after the event.
Yeah, there's just something about watching a guy like Ian with a body like his and an athlete like he is play infield defense that you're just taken aback and like, wow, that's what it looks like. Just smooth, fluid, the ability to have such a quick first step to both sides, to come in on a ball, how easy the transfer is from glove to hand, the footwork through the baseball. It's just, turning a double play. I mean, it's all there for him to play just eventually, plus infield defense at shortstop at least. And then it's 92 across the infield. Really, really impressed with just his ability to flash the leather on the infield. And like you said, Josh, reaching out continuously. What do I have to do to get better? I want to just I want to play baseball. This is who I am. I'm a ball player. That's what kind of stands out with Ian. Just the want, the drive, the desire to be a great player. And he'll probably get there someday. I love the bat as well. Like I think the bat's continuing to get better. The bat speed. I know he's working on his, just kind of his path, his hand path. I mean, he's really transformed himself into a guy that is scouts were talking about. Who is this kid? I need to go watch him play this spring, and it's well deserved for sure.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Vinny, all of that talk like isn't hollow clearly because I think the progression that the bat has made over the years here is like super evident, and it just kind of goes to show like when you have a situation like that, you can kind of see the player's progression from when we saw him. We did see him like super early in his career, and for it to come this far, you could just tell he's a really strong defender. He's like still prioritized like that. He's still that maybe that's his quote unquote carrying tool or something. But he has not he's made sure that he's putting in the time and effort and energy into this other side of the game, and I think that always makes it a lot more believable or something when you have that player who's clearly putting in the work and is getting better and better and better every time you see him. So yeah, Ian, one of the, I think just pound for pound, one of the most notable nuggets coming out of the Procase. Another one too, I thought Mason Schmidt, just another example of a player taking advantage of the winter. Fields, you've always been extremely high on Mason Schmidt and just thinking of his ceiling, but can you just give us an example of what he got better at, which aspects of his game he got better at over the winter?
Oh yeah, I mean, he showed feel for 4 pitches here. There was, I mean, trending this way going into the winter, he was more of a two-pitch guy, especially going off of the state games. Like, it was fastball, breaking ball, with sometimes he would show feel for a changeup, but this bullpen, he was coming out just not only throwing harder with ticked up stuff, but he was locating 4 pitches inside the zone, just in different spots of the zone as well. But I mean, like I said, he's ticked up the stuff. The fastball's now sitting 92. There's multiple times he's reaching up into like the really high IVB numbers, upwards of 20 plus, and then he's spinning off 2 breaking balls and a cutter that has a real shot to play at the next level, in the zone, out of the zone. There's a breaking ball with huge break too. So just a lot of stuff that you can, like, green flags that you can see him continuing to build on with the profile here.
First pen of the day, right? He was the first pen of the day.
It was.
Yeah, first pen of the day. Scouts all around, and it's kind of like a anxiety-provoking situation for any player. I don't care who you are. Like, you're on a stage and you have professional scouts, probably for the first time, that volume of scouts, that many scouts around watching Mason Schmidt pitch, and you're on this stage, and he's the first pen, and first pitch of the day, 92, peppered right through the glove of the catcher. And then he continued to do so throughout the pen. Like, so the touch and feel for the fastball has always kind of been there. But this, to me, I thought the mechanics were super repeatable and clean. They always have been, but really in this pen, it was like so fluid, so connected throughout the delivery through release. And then he was just, like I said, just commanding that fastball to wherever he wanted to throw it throughout the pen, and his other secondary pitches as well. But just the fastball command really stood out to me in this pen. On that stage, first pen of the day, that was so impressive.
Yeah, and talking to him beforehand, he was like super eager to pitch. And like you could just tell he was kind of like ready for the moment, and to follow through on that is always awesome to just feel and get excited for the kid that he just accomplished exactly what he wanted to do. I think, from my perspective anyway, he was up to 93.5 on the fastball.
PR,
which is his best.
Was it a PR?
Ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was big time, and it was a fastball too. It spins efficiently. Like Fields of reference too. It's kind of like a rise run. It's a good fastball. It's a ton of secondaries here. A lot of different ways you can go with it. On top of it, like, he looked like at a more like chiseled out, a leaner, like stronger 6'5", 213 pounds. He measured in at. It just kind of went like checked down all the boxes here I think you could have hoped for Mason Schmidt, so I think he earned himself a ton of spring attention. Yeah,
and from Somerset. So how far did he have to drive? We were wondering if he went to class the next day, but it's like to
no,
Joliet.
They were taking 2 days back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a grind.
It's like 7 hours away.
Yeah. But hopefully it was worth it. I think it was, especially doing that in front of that audience. I think will be worthwhile. So kudos to Mason Schmidt there. Another kid, yet again, who I think took advantage of the offseason, Caleb Ligon. He set the bar high for Ezra. Ezra was at the Super 60. Caleb was at the Procase. But Caleb comes out, runs a 6.62. He ran a 1.59 10-yard split at 6'4", 188 pounds. Kind of rare air athleticism here, like we've talked about before. But I thought the swing looked as good as ever. He was striking the ball like accurately. I thought the barrel accuracy was really, really good. There was just a ton of positivity, I think, to take away from Caleb Ligon here. He looked better defensively too. He looked like he'd been, making strides there. It was just kind of all in all, just a well-rounded performance out of him. And I was just excited to see that. But Vinny, did you feel the same way? Yeah,
and I know we've kind of historically seen him mostly at third base, but why not play short in college? I mean, really, the way that he was moving around in the infield. He's super athletic. Ran are you kidding me? A 6.62 60-yard dash.
Which he beat Ezra by I don't know, 2 thousandths or whatever.
Yeah, it's great. It's splitting hairs between Caleb and Ezra. We've always kind of struggled with okay, which Ligon brother is gonna kind of edge the other one out, and we've always kind of leaned a little bit towards Ezra just because of the left-handed bat profile. Both these kids are extremely talented. I know we're going to talk about Ezra once we get into the Super 60, but just Caleb is just a kid too. Think about too the psychological aspect of it, that your brother got invited to the Super 60 and he shows up at the Procase with. He's never had any kind of attitude or negative attitude about, okay, my brother's going, why aren't I? type of an attitude, and he just shows up and he just balls out, and it's been so impressive to watch. And I think because of that, I think this kid is just he's gonna open a lot of eyes at the next level. I really do believe that. I mean, I've always liked Caleb Ligon. I mean, just because of the fact that I'm like, whoa, who is this kid that is this big, this athletic, and can really pick it in the infield? And Caleb is just, he's going to surprise a lot of people, I think, at the next level. I really do believe that. I think he's going to hit, and I think he's going to really, really play well in the infield. And he's such a tremendous athlete. So sky's the limit for him, and he really did himself a lot of favors at the Procase.
Yep. Madison Memorial is going to be fun to watch them in the spring, obviously, just having the Ligon brothers. But, there's a ton else there. Braden Banyai, I don't know, the list kind of goes on. That'll be a fun team to watch this spring, but some extra incentive there, too, for area scouts to get out there and watch the Ligons and, face some of the better competition in Wisconsin and the Madison area. But
I already have a matchup circled. Whenever Sun Prairie East.
Oh yes,
I need to be there.
It was great last year. That was I think both games were close. I hope I'm not
I think they were.
I'm pretty sure they were one-run games, and I'm excited to see those two match up again for sure. So yeah, Fields, thank you. Already looking forward to the spring stuff firing me up. Next up here, wanted to talk about Vince Bitter, right-hand pitcher. Another kid, yet again, running theme, but there's a reason why these kids are all on this platform, because they're putting in the work. It's it's harder than ever, I'm assuming, right? Vinny, maybe you could speak to this of there's so much access to pitching labs and strength and conditioning trainers and all these things that it's I don't think you can no longer, unless you're a one-of-one type of athlete in the country, you can't really sit on the sidelines and rest up in the winter in maybe don't touch a baseball or whatever. You really have to put in the work. And Vince Bitter, I think he was just another example of a kid that did that. Just he looked like a leaner version of himself, 6'2", just stronger. There was arm speed there and stuff. But Vince Bitter, I thought turned some heads. But Vinny, what did you see out of this?
Also pepper in the zone, right, with all of his pitches, and just short, compact arm stroke, which tells me he's going to continue to repeat it. Not a ton of grunting and efforty type of a move through the baseball either, and he's still maturing physically. He's still gonna add some good weight, and I think he's gonna throw hard at the next level. I really do. I mean, he's 93. That also was a personal best, right? I mean, Fields, he said that was a personal best, I believe, at the Procase as well. So just multiple pitches. He's going to be a starter very likely in college. But he's going to have some follows as well on the pro side, just because, these guys don't grow on trees. But guys are showing up, throwing harder than ever. But for Vince Bitter to come out and do what he did at the Procase, I think it bodes well for him. And like I said, he's going to have some follows this spring.
Yeah, young for the class too. I just looked it up because I was curious, because he kind of looks young, younger than maybe some of these other guys, or less mature. So he's still got, which just makes it feel like he's got an extra ceiling to hit, whether it happens in high school or it happens in college, committed to Illinois State. But I thought it was a really solid pen just all the way around. I
mean, between him and Semmelman heading the rotation there at Brookfield Central, I mean, who's gonna beat them at State, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one too, right there. Feels just curious too if you have any Vince Bitter takes on just this stuff. I know maybe the fastball, maybe there's some tweaks to be made there, just kind of picking a lane in terms of a profile, but also those are things that they can get kind of worked out in a single bullpen session. You know what I mean?
It can get worked out. And, I mean, Vince surrounds himself by great pitching minds and just guys that are going to push him anyway. So I think he's going to continue to get better, just like Vinny said. But also, I think he's going to throw really hard. So he's going to continue to take up. So I think as you start throwing your fastball a lot harder, you care about the shape less, and he's throwing it in the zone. So I mean, you could tweak some things. You could lean into a sinker, two-seam cutter, or you could also just bet on him getting really physical, being one of these really explosive power arms that just, throws a fastball of 96.
Yeah, just blowing it by people for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun to watch the progression there out of Vince, both this spring and beyond. So thought he did well for himself at the Procase. Two more names here that round out our Wisconsin Procase set of invites: Jimmy Angle and Trey Kirchhoff. Angle, I thought, did exactly what we would have expected him to do, just looking like a kind of a sturdy, strong, 6'1", like filled out, 210-pound frame. Hits the ball hard, but it's almost like it's pretty easy to imagine a scenario where like Jimmy Angle kind of blows up at Eastern Illinois, where he's committed, and then you have a bunch of people that are like, who is this? Like, where did this come from? Maybe like this day and age, maybe he goes in the portal and he's like, kind of a famous name or something like that. But it feels like that is a totally legitimate, realistic scenario for a player like this. And I thought he looked like exactly like that version in Juliet.
Yeah, it seems like he'll show up in fall at on campus and just be like slotted into the 4-hole in college. I mean, I agree. Like, that is certainly a realistic scenario for Jimmy Angle, and all of a sudden, like, he just starts hitting and then never stops. Like, this kid, 100-mile-per-hour exit velocity from pretty short and compact stroke. He's not really trying to like manufacture exit velocity. I mean, this kid just knows how to find the barrel. Probably not his best run time, but he certainly can play outfield. We've seen him play corners, so he'll be fine out there. So yeah, Jimmy Angle, love him.
Yep. Fields, Nick, anything to add on Jimmy? Otherwise, we can talk about Trey here too.
I mean, I think we included Jimmy on the Procase roster for the exact reason that you said, Andy. We feel really good about the hit. We've seen it against really good competition this summer and even going back into prior years. So, like, the run time is what it is. It might be a corner outfield, but there's a lot of hit. I've seen really promising swing decisions and bats a ball this past summer, and this is another kid that we just feel really good about betting on. Another kid that we have really good reports on from the guys at Sticks and in our own personal conversations. Like, this kid is another guy just like Ian that just reaches out and wants to get better and is using us every resource available too.
Yeah, a good point.
Yeah, I was impressed with the consistency on the barrel. I mean, he had, like we said, he had a max of 100, but his average was 94. He was on the barrel the whole time. 6 mile an hour difference between the max and the average, that's pretty solid, I'd say.
Yeah, no, that's tight. That's a great point, Nick. And that's the type of player like we've gotten used to seeing with Jimmy, and like the type of hitter too. So it matches the eye test seeing metrics like that. And given his size, like I referenced, getting a lot stronger in college feels totally realistic, and it's going to translate pretty easily, I think, to the batted ball results. Soon thereafter. So, and Trey Kirchhoff is similar in that he's one of the top athletes around. I don't know how Wisconsin has this many ridiculous athletes. He's a 6'9" runner here at the Procase, jumped 28 inches vertical. It's kind of crazy just what's going on here with these guys, and he looked just like we would have hoped. It's like an on-plane right-handed swing with some strength and twitch, and it's the type of player he is in game 2 for Burlington and Sticks. And I think this just, again, met expectations in the best way possible.
Yeah, just because we're talking about him last doesn't mean we like him the least either, because we've always been on Trey Kirchhoff. I mean, I can't believe 6'9". I mean, just tremendous athlete. He could be one of these guys that's like, once he gets to college, and I know, look, I've said this publicly, our list for the 2026 class goes all the way down to Trey Kirchhoff, maybe even trickles down into some other guys that could potentially be pro guys, legit pro prospects. Trey Kirchhoff is certainly on that list just because of the athleticism, the ability to hit in game, and the ability to play solid defense. I know he lists himself as a third baseman, but he can certainly play shortstop. We'll see where he ends up at the next level, second base as well. So, what an athlete, and a lot of super high baseball IQ as well.
Yeah, Fields, you want to round it out with Trey, maybe some thoughts and from last summer to now, or kind of expectations even going into the spring?
Yeah, I mean, with Trey, it's all about the bat for me, and this like I've said with a lot of these guys have really really hit in front of me. I mean, that's why we're bringing them to these events. They're just, it's all of our work in the last 4 years kind of culminating into this, and Trey kind of performing on that stage as well, like looking like the part of a pro follow with a an upside right-handed swing. Like, these hands really work. It's on plane. Barrel accuracy is there, and he's really really hit ever since his sophomore year. I mean, I know his freshman year was kind of a wash because he had I believe he broke his arm, so his spring was kind of a wash. But ever since he got healthy in his high school career, he's done nothing but hit, and
Yep.
it's really refreshing because you walk up to the field and you know that Trey Kirchhoff's going to get up off a lot of A swings and it's going to look really good on the box, and you're not going to have a lot of takeaways from it, like, negatively.
Yep. Just a simple swing, right-hand hitter, doesn't swing and miss often. You love to see it. It's kind of how you draw it up. So just thought it was an awesome crop of talent from Wisconsin that represented themselves well down in Joliet at the Procase. It was the most well-attended Procase in terms of, like, the professional scouts there. We were just talking about it before we hopped onto this podcast with some of the Illinois guys that there were some area scouts that were just, like, really excited about getting some new names to know and follow. And it's so, they did their job there, these Wisconsin kids. And I think that's, like, kind of why we do it. So it was really exciting to hear that. It kind of puts a little extra pep in your step going into the spring, hearing notes like that. So.
And it's an event now that scouts are circling the date on the calendar for them to certainly get to. And now hopefully we're going to turn the Wisconsin one into the same thing.
Yep.
So.
Yep. We're taking a stab at, like, running our own kind of Wisconsin style Procase just right before this the spring season starts. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's later at the end this month, I think, right? Or it's at the end of
March.
Mid-March.
18th.
Yeah, the week.
18th.
The last week
March
of
18th.
events. Yeah, because that weekend is our final set of events, and it's the Wednesday or something before it. So, yeah. Before we get back into it, we need to tell you about a big upgrade here at Prep Baseball. If you're serious about stepping up your recruitment, we just revamped our Prospect Plus subscription, and it's a game changer. Prospect Plus now lets you upload your own videos directly to your profile, so your best swings, innings, defensive highlights are front and center where college coaches are already looking. New this year, you also receive a $100 showcase credit built right in. On top of that, you still get all the Prep Baseball Plus features, including access to a sortable college database across every division, school tracker tools, and advanced search filters to find the right fit. You can manage your profile, track schools, organize your recruiting calendar, and access coach contact information all in one place. And yes, you can download your videos at any time. Bottom line, Prospect Plus is built for athletes who want more control, more exposure, and recruiting tools that actually matter. Head to prepbaseballreport.com to subscribe. Now, let's get back to the show. But that will set the table here for the Super 60, which took place just this past Sunday and just outside of Chicago at the typical host site, the Max Complex. And it's been going on forever. This was the 24th year of the Super 60. This pro showcase kind of started out as this Midwestern style, a scouting event for the top talent in the area, and it's kind of evolved into this national event that, in one way or the other has kind of, like, turned into where it's like, maybe it's not the every first round potential prospect, although there will be some there, but it's almost like these guys that it's like, in the spring, people are, like, kind of wondering where they came from or how they became a second, third round pick. And, proud to say that a lot of those guys, like, did maybe make their first mark at the Super 60 before they really set off to do big things later on in the spring. But Wisconsin, they had we had 8 people there, 8 players there from the state. Has to be a record, I think, for us, which is great and totally deserving too, and could have even been more based on the guys we just went through with the Procase. But again, it was just a lot of, like, hey, these guys did exactly what they needed to do there, and I think nobody epitomizes that more than just Dom Santarelli, going off the top here before we really dig into it. But he was just one of 7 players to have a hard hit rate of 100%, so he's hitting the ball just consistently hard, which we know he's capable of that. He broke the previous Super 60 average exit velocity record, 104.8 mile an hour average, 110 mile-an-hour max. Both became the second best there. He was just behind the eventual leader, Colin Bland from Tennessee, but they were kind of neck and neck. And he was the most accurate, like on the barrel of those caliber of hitters that were just making like this elite level contact. He was doing it more consistently, line drives, just kind of what we've come to know with him, better than anybody. So it was really just an efficient contact profile on top of being, this, the one of one, I guess, strength hitter. So that sets the tone, I guess, Vinny, if you want to just kind of take it from there, feel free to get in there.
Man, what else can I say about Dom Santarelli? I mean, right, we've been on this kid ever since he was in Little League, quite frankly. And my goodness. So Dom, I don't know if you guys caught this. I know you guys did, actually, because I believe we talked about it. So the fact that his swing looked like it was a little bit like flattened out. It looked like, in the past when we'd see Dom, we'd see a little bit of a steepness to the swing and kind of like a higher finish. So it's a little bit like very direct, A to B, and then it was not out of the zone real fast, but certainly after contact, it was a little bit of a higher finish, a little bit of a unique finish, I think you could say. But this looked like I don't want to put a comp on this swing because I don't want to sound like, oh my goodness, this Vinny really, really loves Dom. I think everyone knows that already, but it just looked a little bit flatter. Again, not that I didn't like the swing before because I thought it just was a little bit unique with the finish. I just thought that this swing looked flatter. It looked more as direct as before, but it just looked flatter, a little bit freer and easier. The hands were a little bit further away from his body. And it was just it's always been super rhythmic, super just that flow to it. It had that as well. And just hitting balls to the opposite field at 100 and whatever, high 108s, 109s to the opposite field. That's what is. So a lot of times you can't really tell how a kid's going to hit in game when you watch him hit batting practice or you watch him at one of these showcases because you don't know if they're trying to manufacture exit velo. You don't know if they're really trying to just like softball swing, try and hit a softball swing type of an approach to these. But Dom, when you see him stay inside the baseball and pepper a ball to the opposite field the way that he can and just hit an absolute missile to the opposite field, that tells you that this kid has a real idea how to hit, and he's going to hit at a very high level against very high-level pitching. And so I'm a huge believer in him, as you guys already know, but I just think that the way that he can make such a quick adjustment as well with his swing kind of shows you that this kid is going to be able to make quick adjustments at the next level. I'm talking the highest level, the major leagues. He'll be able to make quick adjustments, and he'll be able to hit at that highest level someday. I'm that convicted in it. And this viewing at the Super 60 was just another kind of, box that he checked for me, which he doesn't need to check anymore for me.
Yeah. Totally agree about just the swing. I mean, it's not like it was this overhaul or something. Obviously,
right.
It didn't need it. But yeah, it was I think I was used to, it was almost in the best way, seeing Dom in BP. I think the way we talk about him and his strength, you would think that he's just, one after the other. It's home run, home run, home run. And he's not that type of hitter in BP, which I think is good. It kind of goes to show just his overall approach. He's trying to not hit home runs, he just knows who he is. So he wears out. You just see him just wear out the L screen, one after the other, right back at the cage, line drive, line drive, line drive. And this would just some of the most, one of the most recent examples was this round of BP, I guess, is what I mean, where he was actually elevating a little bit more without intent. It was just okay, I'm just going to actually start elevating up the middle now. He had a bunch of balls that traveled, I think 404 feet, something like that. I was just looking at the stats.
Max, yeah.
Was his max, which, that's not great. I think he's even hit a ball further for us before. But it was just happening a little bit more naturally, I guess, just in the BP setting, which, we'll see what that means in the spring and just if that ends up translating in some way, shape, or form, or if he kind of went in with that approach in mind. But I just thought that of the takeaways, we expected him to hit a ball, roughly 110 miles an hour, which he did. We expected him to do all these things, to run pretty well. He ran a 6.83. Expected that. But seeing him just have a little bit of a different, I guess, contact profile, slightly different. Just felt a little bit more natural, and seeing him take advantage of like the strength he has, like, and seeing how that translates into the spring. I felt like that. If you're looking for a different or like a takeaway, something different that happened within this batting practice performance, that felt like the one, I guess. Fields, do you agree, or do you have any takes there?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw him last month, and it's a different swing, like you guys said. I mean, I also talked to Cody Fowler, who I know picked him up quite recently, and he's been working with Dom as well. So like they are working on some things, and they're going to continue to work on some things heading into the spring. And like Vinny had said and was breaking down in there are a lot of there was a lot of positive changes, and like Andy had said, he is getting to launch a lot easier. Like it's not these low line drives that just go up there. He's launching balls more consistently now, as well as, staying on the barrel with all the same barrel accuracy and all the same strength that we've seen Dominic Santarelli, have for forever, basically.
Yeah, and maybe burying the lead there a little bit, because I guess the most notable thing is that, he's going to give it a real effort to play the outfield, which he took reps there at this past Sunday at the Super 60, and like I said, he ran a 6.83, but he ran a 1.64 10-yard split, which, I mean, just for context, that's really good. So there's some bursts there out of the box. I think that you would think will translate well with route running and stuff, as long as he kind of gets that experience with, the first step and instincts that go along with it. But Vinny, what did you think of him? And actually Nick too, because Nick, college stud outfielder. What did you think of Dom's defense out in center field at the Super 60?
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, I think for him mainly being a first baseman, it definitely plays. He was getting to the ball quickly, making the right routes, getting behind the ball on the short fly balls that we have inside the max. But he was able to get under it and follow through on the throw. And I think he was 86 or something.
88.
88, yeah. And I think that could definitely get up to 90. He's a strong kid, and especially the 60 showed. He'll be able to get to that ball, get under it, and continue to play at the next level, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you watch an outfielder take fly balls, what you're looking for is, okay, is there an athlete here where the eyes are basically telling the body where and how to move to the baseball? Some guys just do not have that. You guys have all seen that before. Dom looked like he had that. So I think he's going to be totally fine out there, probably left field at the end of the day if he's going to play outfield in professional baseball. But we also seen this kid really play a solid first base defense and really an athletic first base defense. So either one, I think left field or first base, again, I think it's a big leaguer at the end of the day and an impact big leaguer at that.
I think it's a 3-hole hitter.
Yep. Yeah, and for what it's worth, yeah, he is, I think in our minds, a pretty valuable defender at first base. So, yeah, I mean, you wonder, like, knowing that, like, yeah, you would be optimistic, I guess, about him being able to make the transition to left field and making that work in pro ball. So we'll see. Those are just some of the questions, like, once you get to this tier of prospect that you'll have to answer. But, knowing Dom, I think he's prepared to answer those questions too this spring. So excited for the spring to get going for those same reasons. Along the same path, Tyson Gorkowski going to help lead a pretty stacked Muskego team back to state, hopefully, having won it just last year. But top arm, he was actually the top-ranked arm in attendance at the Super 60, and I thought he kind of defended the crown. Like, he didn't throw the hardest, but we didn't expect that either. But there's a reason why we still feel like, and I don't even think we're alone, I think Shooter Hunt, VP of Scouting here at Prep Baseball, I think was equally as in on Tyson's bullpen at the Super 60 as we are. But he was up to 93.9, and he showed that same, high spin sweeping slider that looked really good. Changeup can be special. Sinker's great. Like, but he also looked just like a really the best version of himself physically. 6'5", 234 pounds, but really muscled up and just clearly putting in the work there with some athletic training and just getting generally stronger too. But that's kind of the gist. But I mean, Fields, maybe you want to take the lead on just talking about what you saw in terms of stuff out of Tyson.
I mean, I don't know where to start with the stuff. I mean, I guess we can start with the slider. He did throw two breaking balls at this event, or a curveball and a slider, but his sweeper is, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, did he throw one at 83
Yeah,
with
he
like
throws it
17 inches
hard.
of
Yeah,
sweep? Like
yep, yep.
that's a pitch that you can grade on on the pro scale right now.
Yep.
And especially with the changeup as well. I mean, I think the changeup has a ceiling to even surpass the sweeper as well. And you know, I know we were talking about on the way down, like how hard do we think, like where do we think the fastball and the velo is, and like, you know, we were thinking 2 to 4. That's going to be a really good showing for Tyson Grolkowski, and like, you know, he was 2 to 4 with locating a fastball to different parts of the zone.
Yeah.
So it was the same pitchability and just with a lot more stuff, just better stuff all around. Also looked trim, cut physically. Like this guy's a durable, and just also to pair with a physical deception, he's 6'5" with that low release height. It's going to be tough at bat for any hitter.
Yeah, and hat tip to Andy here, like, because look, the next guy we're going to talk about, I believe, is Jace Metazinski, and I'm like, man, I got to believe Jace is too, but, like, I don't know, after this performance, you know, Grolkowski is probably should be ranked in the 2 slot, and I know, Andy, you were kind of like, you know, wanted to keep him there, and I think rightfully so. And look, not to take anything away from Jace, I think he's going to be a big leaguer too. You got some big leaguers in this class, guys. But Tyson, the power that's coming from that lower half is going to translate to a lot of durability for one, and then, you know, just success and be able to maintain velo going forward. Not only maintain velo, but just be able to tick up and then potentially start. Just because, you know, be a starter at the professional level. That's not. That is kind of the feather in the cap. That is kind of the highest praise you can give a pitcher as a scout. Is this guy a starter or reliever? That's what you're going to be asked all the time as a scout. And if you say reliever, that's going to knock guys down a little bit on the value scale. Because you guys see how teams cycle through relievers. I think Tyson has a real chance to start. I think it's going to be just because of the way that he repeats that delivery, how athletic and how strong he is. And he's only going to get stronger. This kid is a beast. I mean, that body, 6'5", 234. And then, you know, I know, Fields, you've mentioned this a bunch in the past, but just I don't think you mentioned it here. Just that deceptive release height from that fastball, that low release height, and he stays on top of and behind the baseball so well. That is a rare trait to have. If you're that low and that wide with that release height, most guys get on the side of the baseball and start becoming kind of a low 3/4 guy that throws, you know, those running sinkers. Not Tyson. He stays on top of it, stays behind it, and all of a sudden that is that deceptive look to a hitter. And so that's, you know, he's got a lot of really good things going for him, a lot naturally, but then also he's put in a ton of work to get to where he's at. And he's only going to get better. And, yeah, I mean, some team is going to jump all over this. I know that they are. This was an impressive look from him.
Yeah, you're going to get – Jason's going to put me on a poster. He's going to put me on a poster now.
No, sorry, Andy. No, I didn't mean it like that.
You're going to be on his wall.
It's splitting hairs between those two for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
No, it's like you can't go wrong because Jace is like one of the most fun players to be around, to be honest. He's like extremely easy to root for just with how he kind of approaches the game. Like it feels like he's very competitive, but it's also like, I don't know, how would you describe it, Vinny? Like he's almost like...
I call him Larry Bird. I mean, that might be too... I might be too old for that reference for a lot of people on this that are listening to this podcast, but just... His easygoing yet competitive nature and confident nature that this kid has, the way he carries himself, I tweeted that out, like carries himself well. I mean, that is understating it. Just because, you know, talk about a guy and a kid that is not afraid of the stage that he's on. Not only is he not afraid, he elevates his game once he gets on a stage like that. I mean, we've loved this kid ever since. I mean, you guys have when you saw him as a sophomore and he was batting 8th in his lineup or 7th or something and playing right field. But I fell in love with the player once I saw him in Wausau last year. Just the way, like I said, the way he carries himself, the way his approach, his mental approach to the game is so impressive. 98 across the infield at that event, but this one was 96. So, like, he moves extremely well. He's going to stick at short. Love the bat. I think he's flattened out his swing a little bit as well. Not as strong of a top hand. But I think the swing's going to play the way that he can see breaking balls. We've seen it in game. Loved it. But, yeah, splitting hairs between him and Tyson. Didn't mean to come across like that. But, I mean, he might be the first guy drafted just because of how the draft works for certain. We'll see. And just because he is a shortstop, and he's one of the more talented shortstops, more athletic shortstops in the entire country.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a different player than Chance Ruby. Like, those are kind of different players. But it's the same mentality for me where it's like seeing Jace Madizowski play in a game is like its own, like, scouting kind of experience, like evaluation. Like, there's this showcase setting. It kind of feels like a vintage player, like a player maybe from, like, I don't know, like going to big showcases like 20 years ago or something, where it's like it's just not totally refined yet. Like, he has a unique swing. Like, he kind of goes about it a little differently defensively, but it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, he is a shortstop. He hits home runs. He, like, has legitimate game power. He's really athletic, and he's 6'3". And experiencing that, watching that in game, like, he doesn't swing and miss a ton. We've seen him hit a ton, obviously, we've talked about. Like, we kind of expect that again this spring for Hudson. There just aren't that many like this in the country, not just in the state. Right. And like Vinny mentioned, like, there's a totally realistic chance that he becomes, like, the first player drafted out of this high school crop. And it's for those reasons. Like, you know, there just aren't that many shortstops in general. And here we have a super athletic one who's dunking on everybody in high school right now. Like, he's, you know, he probably was in between basketball games coming out of the Super 60 and, you know, still putting on a show for us and for the scouts. And he did, you know, what you would have expected, I think. And, like, it's just, you know, more reason for these guys to get up to Hudson this spring. Well, cool. We'll move on here to actually I thought one of the top players just overall, Jack Brenner, to me, like, I thought was one of the top players here, and, like, there was a lot of really good ones. Obviously, this is a special event, but it's a twitchy right-handed swing. He's, like, a really great athlete. Yet again, another one from Wisconsin, 6'5" runner. You know, burst. He ran a great 10-yard split out of the gate. One of the most accurate barrels. So, Nick, like you'd mentioned, you know, that gap between, you know, the average and max EVs being tight, but, like, Jack Brenner, his average was 98 miles an hour. His max was 102. Like, that 4-mile-an-hour gap just kind of goes to show just how consistent he is at striking the ball, striking it with authority. And that's kind of his game, too. Like, we've seen that for ourselves, you know, in game, and that's kind of what he did all 2025 and eventually became committed to Oklahoma, you know, switched it up. But, you know, especially in this setting, it's like, yeah, this is a Big 12. This is an Oklahoma or SEC type kid. And he looked that way, and he's athletic enough to play multiple positions. I mean, who knows where he's going to play, but it's honestly a good question to have because he could catch, you know, he looked, the hands were great in the infield, and I mean, honestly, he might even be a center fielder too, you know, so who knows? That's going to be a good problem for the organization that gets him ultimately, whether it's after Oklahoma or before, because, there's just a lot here to work with.
How easy is he as an athlete too? Like, there's not a whole lot of effort, and he's what did he run, a 6?
Yeah,
what?
6.5. Yeah.
That's insane, and it doesn't look like he's putting too much like just a ton of effort. Like, it's a smooth run. Same thing with his pop time behind the plate. I think it was a 1.84, 1.86 that I had for him, and it's just like nice and easy, and gets rid of it, and he's like 83, 84 miles per hour down to second base, and it's right on the bag at 1.84. I think he caught. I was looking at the sheet of who he caught. Hayes Holton was one of the best arms.
The last arm. Yep.
The last arm.
Electric. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was catching him totally fine. So yeah, I mean, where is he going to play? We don't know. Still kind of figuring that out, but he's capable of doing multiple things: infield, outfield, and even catch. I mean, maybe do them all. You know, there's value in that. That's what I did, although I didn't do them certainly as well as Jack Brenner is doing them now. So very impressed with Jack Brenner, and a great kid to boot.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. A couple outfielders here, too. We'll kind of get going here because I know we're almost approaching an hour. But Ezra Ligon, Ben Kuglich, both came here as outfielders, the Super 60. I thought Ezra, just like his brother Caleb, like probably the best I think we'd ever seen him. And just like Caleb, like they clearly been getting after it in the gym. Like he looked really physical, just stronger overall, and it matched like kind of what we saw in BP. He hit a ball 104.9 miles an hour, 97 mile an hour average. Hit a ball over 400 feet, ran a 6.64, jumped 30 inches. The left handedness stuff is like Vinny references, kind of like why not just us, but I guess pro guys too, like the potential center field defense, like those are just natural things that might give you an edge here or there. But just with that being said, that this was probably just the best both these kids looked. But Ezra, going back to the Super 60, I thought that was an awesome, just pound for pound performance.
Yeah, Josh, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, I know one of the things I was locking in on Ezra was how the bat speed had ticked up. Potential center field defense, I've seen it be really good in center, and just the tools really back it up that he could play it at a high level with a ceiling as well. So, just the 6'4", the twitch, the athlete, everything. There's just an immense ceiling with Ezra as well as Caleb. But I mean, just being the left-handed hitter as well, it really just adds a bunch to it. Just really good look for him.
And it's a quiet swing, quiet approach. Like there's not a big leg kick. There's not a big move back to the hitting position. It's just kind of like picks it up, puts it down, and then a super direct hand path to the baseball. And then it was 105 max exit velocity off the bat. That was a personal best, I believe, for him.
Yeah, our stuff. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, with a wood bat. So I mean, yeah. And then the defense in center. I love that we did that at the Super 60. Kind of like shot these kids some fly balls, and he had to move both back to the left and back to the right, and both looked really clean. And then the athlete to boot, he's going to be able to stick in center field. And the arm, I was really impressed with the arm as well. Like really good carry on his throws and accurate. So all around great performance from Ezra.
Yeah, Ben, pretty similar. It might even be like for all of the athleticism, we've kind of talked about on this podcast. Like here we have Ben Kugelich, who only 13 players in the 23-24 years of the Super 60 have run a 60-yard dash faster than Ben Kugelich.
Wow.
And he ran a 6.44 on Sunday. It's also the fastest of Wisconsin players ever run at the event. So, I mean, shout out there. So that was right out of the gate. That was the first thing that Ben did on Sunday. And then just went on to have like just another great, solid performance all the way around. Like just nothing but line drives, 94 mile an hour average exit, 100.9 mile an hour max. Looked, what was he, 97, I think, from the outfield, where the speed will obviously play. Not much else to say with Ben other than it's just a special kid all the way around. Like yet again, get to see Muskego throw out Ben and Tyson Grokowski, because I'm sure Ben will pitch a little bit, and you got Mason Horn and waiting in the wings in the 2027 class, and it's like I can't believe how stacked these guys are. Maddox Sassard, who we'll get to here shortly. It's like I just can't believe how loaded they are. But yeah, more on Ben if you guys got any takes here.
You use the word special, and he has a chance to be really special. So, I mean, and he's kind of like, what is he going to do? Is he going to play the outfield exclusively, or is he going to get back on the bump? We'll see what happens there. But, I mean, if he has a chance, he has a real chance to be that special guy. I think we all kind of agree here as a position, as a center fielder. And just, I mean, crazy arm strength, crazy running ability. We've seen him, really juice baseballs going back all the way to middle school at the Rock. So, I mean, this kid, he's got all the tools. He's got a special tool set. These kids are hard to come by, and Ben Kugelich is one of them. And again, just another quality kid that is going to do everything he can to get to that ceiling, and I'm betting on him as well.
Yeah. That'll bring us to Fields. I'll let you kind of take it away with Colton Semmelman, but just to set the tone here, I thought this was maybe the best, maybe not the best he's ever looked in. We liked him a ton this time last year, and then he kind of had this up and down 2025. We weren't worried about it. He came into this year ranked 4th overall for us in a really special class, so clearly we liked him a lot too. But I thought this was an awesome bullpen for him to just kind of like return to form, I guess you could say, of just make it known that like he's a must-see pitcher in this region for these area guys. But I thought he did just that on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the fact that we weren't worried about it at all. I mean, I'm pretty much out there saying I think he's the best left-hander in the Midwest, and I know that Connor Finn was also at this event, but I mean, I've just seen Colton like really just take over outings, like not just with his fastball and his curveball, which tends to be his go-to secondary, but I've seen him get both-handed hitters out with his changeup. I know that there's other pitches that he's working on adding, and like you just look at how clean and fluid he is through release with the arm speed. I think that there's going to be, there's a chance to start if the strikes continue to tick up and continue to be there. I think if he just continues to prove, this spring that he's in the zone, I think you're a little less worried about him, with the risk part about being a starter. So I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of pitches that he could locate in the zone, and all of them have swing and miss upside here. Especially, I didn't touch on the fastball yet, but it's 90-92, and there's carry in the. It's a carry lively fastball that you can locate in the zone.
Yeah, another low slot too. I think
it's
It's
just a super loose and clean delivery, like Gio Gonzalez comp for me. Just like fun to watch these kind of guys. This talk about a starter's delivery. This is as clean, loose, and fluid as it gets. Yeah, I think the strikes are definitely going to be there. Lefties always take a little bit longer to develop, just the pitch ability, the strike throwing ability, but like the way that he moves on the mound, you can't really teach that. It's just how he sequences his body in order to throw the fastball at up to 92 and then spin that really good breaking ball, has a good changeup. This kid is going to just continue to get better. This is I think teams are just going to kind of really just be on him a lot this spring and just be like, he's going to fly up some draft boards, in my opinion, just because this is the kind of guy that, like, checks boxes that you can't, quote unquote, teach. Like, whereas like a lot of teams are able to kind of manufacture things as they get them into the system, but this kid has qualities, the way that he does it, that really can't be taught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, and he's been this way for as long as we've seen him, but it's just like one of the prettiest deliveries around. It's just like makes it a lot easier to talk yourself into it. So, great stuff out of Colton on Sunday, and just like I said, just feels like he did a lot for himself to just kind of alert the area guys around that they got to get up and see Brookfield Central this spring. So it'll be him and Vince Bitter that they're going to have to check out this season. So and that brings us to, I believe, Maddox Lessard. That brings us to Maddox Lessard was our 8th and final Wisconsin player at the Super 60. And Maddox was like looking to launch baseballs. He hit a ball 100.5 miles an hour, bat speed. It's hard to believe that he was one of 3 Muskego kids here at the Super 60. Fields, you want to chime in on what else we got out of Maddox Lessard on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, Maddox has been one of the top players in the state, going back to when he was, 13 with that. I mean, I don't know. Did we see another catcher back then that was as advanced of a catch and throw guy back then? But I know now it's, like you said, looking to launch. There's a lot of power in there and the ability to get to a lot of power in game as well. But I don't know. I thought the swing was kind of a little more in control. And, I mean, he could find the barrel a little more. And, like, the launch wasn't like dead pull. He was using more parts of the field than you would think. So there was... there's a lot more to Maddox Lessard than, what you can see just visually from the swing there.
Yeah.
And one of the youngest kids in the class, right, because he reclassed up to be part of the 2026 class. Originally was a 2027. But then I also agree with Fields that there wasn't as much crouch even in the setup and then as big of a leg kick, and it was more under control.
It felt right.
Yeah, it was really good on the hitting side of things.
Sure. No, that's a good note, Fields, too, because and it came off that way in, like, the batted balls. I thought there was just there was a consistency to it that maybe was missing for parts of last year. So I'm sure that just somehow makes the Muskego lineup look that much more incredible. It's kind of great. Like, we had random people coming up to me to be like, is Muskego like the best team of all time or something? Like, if they had no idea what Wisconsin baseball was like, they were just like, what is this? Is this Muskego team? Just like, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe, kind of. they won state last year. So that'll be a great storyline to kind of follow this spring too. But Awesome. Well, yeah, that sums up our Super 60. It was kind of incredible. It kind of makes us really excited to follow these guys all individually, not just throughout this year, but I think this is a class that's going to teach us a lot of lessons, like just in the next 5-10 years, really, just to see how these guys advance, because it goes beyond this list too. We have a different crop of guys coming to the Wisconsin preseason Procase that we talked about earlier. And seeing those guys like fully deserving of like kind of the attention that we're giving to these kids on the Procase Super 60 side. But the list really does go on. It's ridiculous how talented this class is. So it's going to be a really fun spring. Fields and I talk about it all the time. Vinny, you'll be doing Brewer stuff, but we're going to keep you in the loop for sure. I'm sure you'll be paying close attention regardless. But because the updates, I think there's going to be a new lesson learned. I think with every time we go out to a game, we're going to have something for you. So
I love it. Can't
wait. We're going to keep you in the loop. All right, cool. Well, like we mentioned too, we're going to save some of our Kenosha ID takeaways for next week. But I guess between then and now, we will have some content for you guys to pay attention to regarding both events, or all three of these events that we've talked about here today, but Kenosha included. So just check out our social channels and so on for some of our takeaways there before we dig into them on our podcast next week. Preseason IDs, just so you guys know, just kind of keeping you in the loop on what's to come. So we'll be in Wausau on Saturday, February 21st. The day after, we'll be in Waukesha at Styx Academy on Sunday, February 22nd. And then from there, we'll be in Green Bay, Racine, Eau Claire, Madison, Franklin, Mosinee, which is our final event on Sunday, March 22nd. So if you aren't registered for something just yet, but we're coming to your backyard and are interested, feel free to check us out on our website, just when we're, next time we're in your backyard. So we're excited to be in the midst of our winter showcase circuit, which officially kicked off this past week in Kenosha. So be sure to check that out. But I think that covers like our updates, right? Vinny, Fields,
Yeah.
Nick, anything else?
I mean, we're in the midst of the busiest time of the showcase season anyway for us. So, what did you bet? How many showcases? That's it? Just about 8 or 9? That's it? Oh, seems like.
Yeah, it's nothing.
No, it's all.
There's some rising stars in there too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But,
We're gonna be busy. Yep. Yeah.
We'll be busy. All right, guys. Well, I guess that'll do it. Unless Nick, Fields, you got any last words here?
Not much. Just be on the lookout for. I know Andy and I are going to be doing some takeaways both on diving into some of the Procase guys as well as the Super 60 guys, as well as just the normal post-event content coming out of our social channels from the Kenosha PID sometime this week.
Yeah, we were going through it, and it felt like Kenosha was. I don't know. There was more talent there than even years past. So there'll actually be a few more names, I think, than usual to go through. So actually kind of excited to dig into that one, go through the numbers a little bit more and kind of see what comes out on the other side. So we'll break down some of those top performers in our next week's episode. So yeah.
I know I'm starting to, first event, so I'm starting to put together a potential invites for the state games. So just be on the lookout for that. And if you're not signed up for a preseason ID, just make sure you get there.
Sweet. You want to tease a prospect here, Fields, that stuck out from Kenosha?
Gabe Seifert. He's going to be a freshman over at Jefferson. Left-handed hitter, left-handed thrower, first base. It looked like he could, two-way right now at the varsity level. There was feel for 3 pitches on the mound, strikes. I really liked his ability to land that venue. There was like a little 2-plane slider that he had, as well as feel for a fastball. It was up to 80, but yeah, there was. It's a lot of clean movements, and kind of reminds me of a little bit of like what Colton Semmelman looked like at that age on the mound.
That's a great call.
Yeah,
he's
so
bigger than Colton was at that same time, but
I think so as well. Like both physically and mature wise, and just like the stature and the frame. But
all right. Well, thank you for that little teaser there, Fields. Kenosha next week, but I think that'll do it. Otherwise, for today's episode of Badger State Ball, Vinny, can you lead us out?
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go Team Cheese. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast. To keep tabs on our latest events, rankings, and coverage, subscribe or follow the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us over at Prep Baseball WI on X and at prepbaseballreport.com/Wisconsin. Until next time.